I am back in my office slash guest bedroom. This is great. So I have been working to declutter and clean our apartment now that we're back from Europe, and it has been fabulous. And one of the things that was on my list was, now that summer's over and now that our cousin is gone, I wanted to switch the piano that was back here with my desk that was out in the living room. So now I kind of have my space again. I have a big pile of things to donate right here, so things are still a little crazy, but I'm back and I have my plants, even though they're like pretty much dead. Anyways, today we're going to talk about tampons. Hey guys, it's Victoria. It's FemmeHead. Sup? Let's get my notes up so we can chat about the tampons. We just finished the Netflix show, The Staircase. Don't know what I think, and I feel left unsatisfied. Like I felt like something more profound was going to happen. And I thought for sure, like earlier on in the show, that he was actually guilty. I don't feel like he did it, but at the same time, I don't understand how someone dies from falling down the stairs like that. It just doesn't add up to me, but I don't know what happened. And then I learned last night that there's this whole owl theory, which, anyways, The Staircase, it was interesting. But today we're gonna talk about tampons and why I don't use them. So when I first got my period, I used pads, as I think most people do, because just getting your period at first is overwhelming because you're like, it's just overwhelming. I'm pretty sure I got my period for the first time, I think it was like October. I don't know why October comes to mind, but it wasn't until the following summer, so however long that is, that I first wanted to try tampons. And it took obviously a few tries to get it right. If it did not work at first, did not work like the second time. But once I got the hang of it, I went on to use tampons for like the next 7 or 8 years of my life, like a big chunk of my life. And then in college, I discovered that there were things beyond tampons that you could use for your period, and I was curious. I was curious not in the sense of like I want to use that. I was just curious and like, oh my god, these things exist. How do they work? Who uses them? And slowly through like everything, I gave them a go. I have tried reusable pads. I have tried menstrual sponges, menstrual cups, and period underwear. Not all of which I have enjoyed. For whatever reason, I was very determined to make menstrual cups work. And I think it's just because I really wanted an alternative to tampons, which I'll get into. I think when women first go to use menstrual cups, they've already been using tampons. Tampons are easy. Tampons are like what they know. And menstrual cups are kind of this foreign thing that they have to relearn. But we kind of forget the learning process we went through with tampons. And so when we have to go through that again with menstrual cups and they don't work right away, or they, there's some tweaking and there's learning, people get frustrated and they just go, I'm just gonna use tampons, like those are easy. But we forget that like we had to go through those same frustrations with tampons. But eventually I got my menstrual cup to work, and I always tell people, like, give it a couple of cycles. It's just gonna take time to feel comfortable with the ease at which you can insert it and remove it and change it and everything, and just make it just as easy as tampons, which it is. I learned how to use a menstrual cup, what was I, like 22, 23, and 27 now? It's been a while. From the time I learned how to use them, that's just what I've used, and I really honestly don't see myself going back to tampons. Today, I want to share some of the reasons that I just don't use tampons anymore, and I don't see myself going back. And so the first reason, especially now, is just the amount of waste that tampons create. So if you think about the number of tampons you use in a day on your period, the number of tampons you use over the course of a single period, and then multiply that by the number of periods you have in your lifetime, like that's a lot of freaking tampons. But the whole eco-friendly aspect of menstrual cups is something that has kept me going and is one of those things that will keep me from going back to tampons. Yes, the upfront cost of a menstrual cup versus a box of tampons is a bit different. I don't even know how much tampons are. I think it's like, is it $10 for a box of tampons? Whatever that is. But menstrual cups, depending on the one you get, can be anywhere from like 20 to 40 bucks, somewhere around there. And so in that sense, you're like, oh my God, tampons are so much cheaper. But menstrual cups last you for 10 to 12 or 10 to 15 years, depending on the cup and depending on how well you take care of it. So in the long run, you can see how just having to buy a few menstrual cups in your lifetime versus so many tampons, like thousands and thousands and thousands of tampons. It's cheaper to have a cup. Reason number 3 is the vast majority of tampons that you're going to buy in a store, that you're going to have available to you in a store, are made from not so great ingredients. So the base is obviously cotton, but the majority of that is non-organic cotton, and you think like, oh, blah, organic, but like all of the chemicals and pesticides and everything that the cotton plants are sprayed with that are then put into the product that you're putting into your vagina, they're also made from like synthetic materials like rayon. Just that compared to some medical grade silicone, like I'd rather be putting that into my vagina than like chemical cotton. Not to mention the cotton is often bleached. Number 4, I never ever seem to have tampons when I needed them. And I know that's on me, and I know that's because I didn't chart my cycle back then, and maybe if you chart your cycle you'll know, yada yada yada, but like I'd get up to town, I'd be at work, and my period would come, and I'd be like, I need to go to the drugstore and get a tiny box of tampons to get me through the day. So I would have all these tiny boxes of tampons and my regular size box of tampons, and like I just never had what I needed when I needed it. Like I've never not had access to my menstrual cup when I needed it. Next up is you had to plan ahead when you're going on a trip and you're gonna have your period. And I think of when I studied abroad in Thailand, I was there for like 5 months almost. And so I packed with me 5 months worth of my preferred tampon brand. And that is because I read that tampons weren't as widely used. If you wanted a particular brand, you should just bring that with you. So I packed 5 months worth of tampons with me in my luggage. Nowadays, you don't have to think about it. Like if I think I'm gonna possibly get my period, I will just throw my menstrual cup in my toiletries bag, and it takes up like this much space. But tampons just like boxes and boxes. But anyways, it makes traveling a lot easier. There is not the fear of toxic shock syndrome. I believe there is 1 reported case of toxic shock syndrome with a menstrual cup. It's a very real thing still this day, which is crazy. Like it feels like something that would have happened like 20 years ago, but there's still people that are like losing their legs and stuff from TSS. So there's not the fear of that with menstrual cups. You don't have to bring anything to the bathroom with you, which is fabulous. Like I remember in high school, just like awkwardly, you know, pulling whatever it was from my bag in my locker and like sticking my whole body in my locker so I could put it in my pocket or put it in my sleeve, or like having to bring a bag or a backpack into the stall with you, and like you already have what you need inside of you because your cup's already in there, and it's just a matter of taking out, dumping it, putting it back in, using some toilet paper to wipe the blood off your fingers, and washing your hands in the sink. And it's so much easier for me. Before I really had used cups all that much, the concern of using them in public, but honestly it's so easy. It's so much easier than having to have period products with you and transporting them into the stall, and the embarrassment that comes with that as a teenager. But you don't have to bring anything with you. And finally, the last reason I could think of was if you don't get it in there right and you need to adjust it or you need to take it out and put it back in, it's really easy and not painful. And we've all had the experience of having to pull a dry tampon out of our vaginas, and it is like, it's the worst. It was awful and I hated it. It was always so hard for me to adjust tampons once I had inserted them, but with menstrual cups, if it's not in right, I can just pull it out and put it back in, or I can like fiddle with it and get it in the right spot without the pain that comes along with dry tampons. So my tampon related videos are probably some of the most popular ones I've made on my tenure on YouTube, which is funny and a bit ironic because like I don't use them, but I am and always will be open to answering questions, offering advice to those wanting to use tampons or trying to use tampons, because I know such a large portion of the population does use them, and not everyone is interested in menstrual cups quite yet, or maybe won't ever be, and that's fine. I do want to continue to share my experience because I think maybe people are curious about other options, and I just want people to know that there's other stuff out there, and it's not like super crazy. It's really easy. It's just basically the same as tampons, but just easier. And for me, I guess like making the switch to cups has been such a positive thing for me. It's helped me create less waste. My body enjoys them more than tampons. I think that it makes periods easier. But I want to know down below, what period products do you use? Do you enjoy them? Do you want to try something else? What have you tried? And all of that jazz. Share it down below. And that is what I have to say about tampons today. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to FemmeHead for more of me. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's content, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!